It's 2025. Picking your way through the information out there on running can be pretty sobering. Luckily, you have two highly qualified coaches at your service. So better get subscribed so we can help you even more, and let's explore the 9 hard truths of being a runner in 2025. The beauty of science is that research on how we get faster and stronger as runners is always evolving. And the hard truth is that many of us don't move with those times. We find what we like and we stick with it. It's safe, but it's not fun. Even in the last year, we've changed our training based on the research around lactate thresholds. We've improved our carb loading strategy based on research. We've changed our strength training program based on research. We've tried ice baths, data tracking rings, different shoes. And the great thing is, if you know the right sources, the internet gives such a wealth of information. So we're not saying your training might not work for you. We're saying it might work, but there might be an even better approach. We just have to be brave enough to try.
Another hard truth that I think actually is easier to grasp when you're deeper into the journey than a beginner runner, but it's that progress, you shouldn't be judging yourself over weeks or even months, or even, to be fair, the period of a year. Progress is so long term if you want to really judge yourself properly. Oh, I'm just about to do 800-meter repeats and I'm dreading it, I'll be honest. But I want to tell you about my running journey, because I started running seriously in 2011 after a lifetime of playing football and running just to maintain fitness for that. And when I started running, I improved quite quickly. I hit a couple of PBs, feeling good. Set a really good PB in 2016 of 18:18 over the 5K. But here's what I mean about progress. I didn't break that PB until 2021, 5 years later. Set my half marathon PB 2017, didn't break it until 2021. Set my marathon PB in 2019, didn't break it until just gone this year in 2024. Those are big, long time spans to judge progress over. Was I disappointed in all those years I didn't break it? The honest answer is no. I wasn't disappointed in any way, and you know why? It's because, well, 2 points actually. I'm a long-term planner. My first 5 years of doing this, I had this aim to be in Team GB triathlon. And so I stuck myself like a super long-term goal, and that was enough. But the other thing is, there was enough, I call them waypoints, but you can call them process goals, call them whatever you want. There was enough of those in that time, within the scope of a year or even months, that showed me I was making progress. Like maybe lower heart rate whilst I'm running at the same pace. Maybe I'm able to run a little bit longer, or maybe I'm just recovering more quickly, or maybe I just feel better about myself. There's so many ways to judge your progress that, yes, the true progress is over years, but there's enough that you can find to tie yourself in over the short term as well.
A real hard truth, perhaps in 2025 more than ever, is that you can find apps or off-the-shelf plans that will give you the how of running. Now that's great. It'll get you probably to near where you want to go. But what I think about things that don't involve too much human interaction, maybe AI and maybe a human will write the plans, is you need the why. To have the how without the why, in my opinion, won't keep you in running for the long term. And while I'm all for getting more runners in the door, and whether that is via apps, whether that is off-the-shelf plans, or whether that is watching YouTube channels like this, that's great. But if you want to go to the next level, you've got to also know the why behind everything you're doing. Does the off-the-shelf plan give you the full why behind why you're doing a lactate threshold session to a level where you could understand it? Do the apps use AI to adapt your session based on your crazy life when you miss a session? Are they even able to do that? You need the why and the how to take yourself to the next level to unlock your full potential. And in my personal opinion, humans do that rather than apps or impersonalized plans.
One hard truth that is a very sad reality is that women really have to think about their safety when they're out running. Adidas conducted some research into this, and they surveyed 9,000 female runners across 9 different countries, and a shocking 92% of women reported that they feel unsafe when out running. I'm not going to dwell on the sad reasons for these statistics, but what I am going to do is share some tips, some strategies that can help you maximize your safety when you're out running, doing this amazing sport. Stick to routes that you know are safe. I'm out here running, it's getting towards sunset. So I'm sticking in the village where I live. I know the people here. I know where I am, Ben knows where I am. So it's a route that I know is really, really safe for me. If you are venturing further afield, then share your run route with somebody you trust, and the time you're going out, the time you're getting back, so they can check in on you and be sure you're safe. There is safety in numbers, so think about running with other people or even running in a group, and always make yourself visible. So wear brightly coloured clothing and lighting if you need it. If it comes to it, there's always the treadmill. Nothing is worth risking your safety. I guess the final part to this is just to remind you to always be alert. If you like listening to music, make sure you're using bone conducting headphones. Always carry your phone with you. Plan your route, but stay alert on your run and trust your gut. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, get yourself into a safe position so that you can keep enjoying your running.
This was quite a hard-fought realisation, but honestly, group training or training towards a common goal with someone will always trump training alone. And I'm not talking about every single session. Sometimes I like just some time to myself, but I am never as motivated as when I'm running with people, sharing the experience, or training towards that common goal. Humans tend to crave interaction, so why not surround yourself with like-minded people? Go to a tough track session and tell me that you could push yourself that hard if you were doing it alone. Others can keep you calm when needed. They can push you when required. They can take your mind off it when asked. The benefits, inspiration and enjoyment are huge. So don't ignore the possibility that you can go to new heights within a group. A hard truth that really hurts me as someone that's invested pretty much 20 years of my life to become the best coach and teacher that I can be is that in this world of social media, when there are so many people running and on Instagram and on YouTube, that suddenly everyone's turning into a run coach. Now, that's not to take away from the people I know, my friends on YouTube that have put time and effort into becoming a qualified coach. But a good runner does not make a good coach necessarily, and vice versa. A good coach doesn't have to be a good runner. What I guess I'm saying is, as a person that might be looking for a coach out there, you need to do your due diligence. You need to look into the background. What degree does that person hold? What qualifications do they hold? How long have they been doing it? What are their credentials generally? Because honestly, just because someone says they're a coach, that's not enough. A good coach builds rapport, builds trust with their athletes. A good coach is able to adapt. A good coach also knows what they're not good at. They stay in their lane. If someone comes to me and they need strength and conditioning help or nutrition help, that's not my lane. I can advise, but I can also advise other people and push them that way. Good coaches, in my opinion, are at a premium because they're very good at what they do. So it's not necessarily just, oh, I'm pretty good at running, I'll become a coach. You should be doing due diligence. If you're looking for a coach, look at their qualifications and make sure you are really comfortable. Another hard truth of running is that the motivation that you come into running with is not necessarily going to be the motivation that keeps you running. So what gets you in the door doesn't keep you in the game. You know, a perfect example of this is me. Because when I first started my triathlon journey way back in 2011, I must admit, I was motivated because one of my best friends and my brother-in-law as well had done triathlons, and I'll be honest, I wanted to beat them. The thing is, I quite quickly realised that it's the process I needed to be in love with rather than any outcome based, even if it is beating the people that I love. I think for the most part, people get into the game for things like losing weight or running a certain distance or running a certain time, and over time, if you really attach yourself to the whole thing, you realise that just being better every day, just trying to improve, is the thing that can long-term motivate you to stay in this. I was supposed to be spotting Mary there. Down. And here's the thing about these endurance events is that there is always something to keep you interested, whether it's triathlon, sprint, Olympic, half iron distance, running and all the distances, or even transitioning to trail like we did. And you might have gathered we're spending a lot more time in the gym at the moment because we're training to have a go at high rocks, because that's something that's piqued our interest right now.
So there's plenty out there for you. Just make sure that your motivation always stays to be better, to be a better person, to be a healthier person, and you will stay in the game forever.
This one really drives me crazy, but I'm gonna have to say it, and a hard truth of being a runner right now is that everyone has an opinion. And here's the important thing, I suppose, about that statement is that not all opinions are equal. Everyone's entitled to an opinion, don't get me wrong, but what we must remember is that opinions are not facts. Opinions sometimes are not based on science. Someone telling you only to eat fruit as a diet, being a fruitarian, that's not the most sound advice in the world. And the same goes for running. Old Joe Bloggs down the road may have an opinion on what is best for a runner because it's worked for him for 30 years. But that's because it's worked for him for 30 years. It might not necessarily be a sound piece of advice. So in this world where social media is so everywhere, we just have to remember that everyone's entitled to an opinion, but they're not all equal, and being able to work that out and find our own path is really, really important, because it really can go wrong if you listen to the opinions of the wrong people.
And the final hard truth that I want to leave you with is that running is always going to be uncomfortable to some extent, and you know what? That's kind of the point. Let's view it through this lens. Running does get a little bit easier over time. Maybe it's easier to run a certain pace or to run a certain distance, but it's inherently uncomfortable. Pushing yourself to be better, that hurts a little bit, and it's outside of the comfort zone. So it's really more of a message to yourself that life outside the comfort zone is where the good stuff happens. It's why we run. What is the point trying to pretend it's going to be comfortable at some point? I actually don't want that, which is why I decided to do this point from the treadmill, because we all know how much these can suck at times. So instead of believing one day this is all just going to be really comfortable and easy, actually embrace the fact that it's never going to be, and nor should it be, because that's when you're living your best life, is when you're out of the comfort zone, running further or faster or harder than you ever have, and watching the magic improvements and life benefits happen as a result. That is the real moral to this story.
I'm hoping you liked this video, because if you did, you're definitely going to like this one, which is the hard truths of long-term running. Don't forget to subscribe so that we can help you some more, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.